Hey guys, I'm Ken Brown, and this is the EMU Experience. Today's question: why are most training courses delivered as a presentation? So the first reason why we often deliver courses as a presentation is it's easy. Let's face it. It takes way less prep time to have slides that you can put up on the screen, and then if you need to, you can read the slides. It's that simple. Another reason why you're delivering as a presentation is in order to get through all of the content that you've planned to deliver, you've got no other alternative but to talk the majority of the time. But the question is, what do your students think about that approach? And did I mention that all of that content you're planning to deliver is probably way too much information? Well, I just did. So while you're busy delivering all of that content, you may pause when someone has a question. In fact, you may even utter, "Any questions?" once you're done with the section. In my experience, I have observed many trainers moving from "any questions" to the next topic pretty quickly. But by far, the fastest I have ever observed was 1/10 of 1 second. No kidding. How do I know it was 1/10 of 1 second? Because I was actually recording this particular instructor, and I went back and looked at the timeline, and at 30 frames per second, it was actually 3 frames between any questions and moving to the next topic. So the question I have for you is training your primary job at your company? Because if it's not, you're more likely to forget anything new, any new techniques that you've learned, and fall back into your old ways. And typically, in my experience, those old ways are the old ways that, while they're your comfort zone and you do what makes you feel comfortable, they're not effective in terms of teaching and training techniques. In my experience leading Train the Trainer workshops, I have observed that the majority of my students, I would say 95% of my students, tend to fall into that comfort zone where they're talking the majority of the time. And when I say talking the majority of the time, I mean dominating the conversation at least 90%. Perhaps your biggest challenge is you just don't know a better way to train. Fact is, most corporate trainers did not go to school to become trainers. So what you learned, you either picked up from a mentor at your company who taught you his or her approach to training, which may or may not have been the most effective, or you got tossed into the classroom because you were a good speaker and you just had to figure things out along the way. And that was my story. I got thrown into the classroom in grad school, having successfully avoided public speaking in high school and college. And I had to figure it out, and I had to figure it out quickly, or else I was going to crash and burn. So whatever situation you find yourself in, there's always room for improvement. And that's part of the reason that I'm here, and it's the reason why I do what I do, because I feel that so many trainers can just implement some simple steps and just elevate the level of their training to a degree they never thought possible. So having said that, let me just remind you guys that I do have a course, an online course that I've produced a couple of years ago. And it's essentially my Train the Trainer workshop that I've distilled down into a 3-hour online course. And it's available on udemy.com, and I'll provide the link to that in the notes below the video. It's currently on sale for the next couple of days, so I'd encourage you, if you're interested in learning some techniques, learning some reasons why what you're doing is not working, and figuring out some alternatives and a different way to think about and approach how you do training, this course will absolutely help you do that. So maybe that's your story as well. That was terrible. Okay. And then I had to figure out, how was I going to teach these 40